Hi, this is meteorologist Joel Curtis with your Alaska Weather Show. Starting out with our hazardous weather for tonight. Blizzard warning for Point Hope and the Chukchi Sea coast. Tonight for whiteout conditions, gusts of 45 miles per hour. Wind chill advisory for Dead Horse tonight, a minus 50 for the wind chill. Winter weather advisory for St. Lawrence Island and the Bering Strait coast. Until midnight, blowing snow, gusts of 55 miles per hour, wind chills to minus 40. And then we have a winter weather advisory for the northeast Gulf Coast, including Yakutat, snow heavy at times, and storm totals around 8 inches or so. So our satellite loop for today, you can see a lot of clouds moving up over the Gulf, also some circulation south of St. Matthew moving east. Also some cloud bands over the central interior and up to Nome. And then a little bit of lower cloud up by the North Slope up against the Brooks Range. So here's our loop. You can see that circulation off of Nunivak Island, another circulation off of Kodiak. So for today's weather, that old low is off Nunivak Island, 980 millibars. There's a couple of troughs around that low, all causing snow showers over the entire Bering Sea, and some light snow along the western coast, and a trough along the northwest coastline. We also have the old low, 982 millibars, off of Kodiak Island, a front wrapped around that system, snow out ahead of that that's impacting the northeast Gulf Coast, and there's some mixed rain and snow in the center of that low. For tonight's weather, we have now the low in the Bering Sea has moved out south toward Cape Newenham, 986 millibars. Again, snow all across the Bering Sea. We can see a weather system entering the western Aleutians there with warm air out ahead of it, causing some snow for the Shimia region, almost all the way over to Adak. Also, we have a trough along the west coast causing snow and blowing snow, light snow showers. Snow over the central interior, again pretty light. Cook Inlet, no precipitation with the offshore flow. Snow out ahead of the system in the Gulf. The fronts almost moved to the coast now, hitting the Yakutat area, also Chichikov Island and Baranof Island. For Friday's weather, we have a pair of lows now in the Gulf. The old one, 978 millibars, has slipped a little bit toward the southeast. The new low has formed 983 millibars off of Haida Gwaii and with a front wrapped around it, and some warm air out ahead of that system, but it's still causing light snow over the panhandle, a little bit of light rain as you get along the immediate coast, a little light snow over the central interior. Cook Inlet's looking pretty good. As we go up into the Brooks Range, a little light snow, and then come down the west coast, we still have some areas of blowing snow and also snow showers. Some snow showers lingering over the Bering Sea, some blowing snow over the Alaska Peninsula and eastern Aleutians. And then we can see that weather system moving into the western Bering Sea, snow out ahead of it, rain behind it. And then for Saturday's weather, now the lows have really weakened, 996 millibars off of Baranof Island. We also have 992 new low has formed well south of Haida Gwaii with a front wrapped around it. Offshore flow still affecting the Cook Inlet and south central area, including Prince William Sound. A little bit of light snow showers on the Alaska Peninsula, a little bit of flurries over the central interior, on over into the eastern Brooks Range and along the North Slope. Now we can see all the warm air coming out ahead of that Saturday's weather system, moving into the central Bering Sea, snow out ahead of it and rain behind it. Still a little bit of lingering snow in the Adak area and snow showers behind the front well to the west. Our low temperatures Thursday morning, starting out for single digits in the Panhandle, including 8 at Skagway, 9 at Juneau, 21 for Sitka, and 18 down at Ketchikan. 14 for Yakutat, and as we move over, minus 18 for Gulkana, mid-teens for the Cook Inlet region, 30 for Homer, and 34 for Kodiak. Along the north slope, minus teens almost to minus 20, minus 27 for the eastern Brooks Range, and as we get down to the Yukon Flats, minus 28. Looks like minus 24 for Fairbanks Thursday morning, as well as minus 6 for Kotzebue, plus 9 for St. Lawrence, 10 for Nome, and then as we get down to the Yukon Delta, plus 10. Going out toward the southwest, we can see mid-teens and lower 20s for southwestern Alaska. Also, as we go out the Aleutians, temperatures in the lower to mid-30s, 31 for the Pribilofs. And then as we get up a little further north, you can see it's cooling off. For a high temperature Thursday afternoon in the mid-20s for much of the southeast Alaska, 29 for Sitka, 28 for Ketchikan, and then 17 for Skagway with the offshore flow, but 30 now for Yakutat. Plus 7 for Gulkana, mid-20s for south central, including Anchorage, 32 for Homer, 37 for Kodiak Island. And then our high temperatures Thursday afternoon for the North Slope, minus teens. As we get further south, minus 24 for the Yukon Flats, minus 5 for Fairbanks, minus 3 for Kotzebue, 12 for Nome, and 13 for the Yukon Delta. Then for our high temperatures for Thursday afternoon, as we go out toward the southwest, mid-20s, lower 30s for southwestern Alaska, then 39 as you go out the Alaska Peninsula, 34 for the Pribilofs, and 35 as you get out all the way out to Shemya. For our low temperatures Friday morning for the Panhandle, teens again, 14 for Juneau, 9 for Skagway, 29 for Sitka, 20 for Ketchikan, and 28 for Yakutat, minus 6 for Gulkana, plus 30 for Kodiak Island. Temperatures around 20 for the Cook Inlet area, including Kenai and Anchorage. Also 25 for Homer, and then looking at our low temperatures along the North Slope, still those really cold minus 9, minus 19, and down into the minus teens is along the North Slope. Minus 26 for the eastern Brooks Range, minus 26 also for the Yukon Flats, minus 7 for the Fairbanks area, and then minus 11 for Kotzebue, minus 1 for Nome, and minus 8 for St. Lawrence Island. And then our low temperatures Friday morning as we go to the southwest, looks like the teens for southwestern Alaska, including Bethel, at 24 as we get down toward Bristol Bay, 27 for Cold Bay, and as we go out to Unalaska, plus 32, right at freezing, and then 22 for the Pribilofs. Our high temperatures Friday afternoon looks like mid-20s, lower 30s as for northern and interior southeast Alaska, but 37 above freezing for Sitka, and also 34 for Ketchikan. 34 as you get up toward Yakutat, 10 for Gulkana. Mid-20s as you're in the Cook Inlet area, including Anchorage and Kenai. Also 33 for Homer, 36 for Kodiak Island, and 25 for Talkeetna. As we get our high temperatures Friday afternoon, still those minus teens for the eastern North Slope. As we get further west, minus 11 to minus 14, minus 8 for Point Hope area, minus 8 for Kotzebue, plus 1 for Nome, minus 8 for St. Lawrence Island. As we get down to the Yukon Flats, minus 12, minus 3 for Fairbanks. And then our high temperatures Friday afternoon as we go out toward southwestern Alaska. We can see teens and lower 20s for the southwest, including 18 for Bethel, 26 for the Dillingham area, also 33 as we get out to Cold Bay. But when we get to Alaska, the temperatures above freezing, 36 and 37 degrees, 37 at Adak, 39 at Shemya, and 28 for the Pribilofs. And that's it for our public weather. Stay in touch and be sure to call in on www.weather.gov/Alaska.
And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
And now for the aviation weather. Starting out Friday morning, we got some IFR conditions along the west coast, down into Bristol Bay, also including Pribilofs, a little bit over the north slope, and IFR conditions along much of the north Gulf Coast due to the weather system that's out in the Gulf off of Kodiak. Then for Friday afternoon, still a little bit of IFR remaining over the north slope, also into Bristol Bay and including the Pribilofs. Lots of warm air moving into the western Aleutians, and still IFR conditions along much of the Gulf Coast due to the weather system that's out in the Gulf. For Saturday morning, that Gulf low starts to really reduce. Some IFR over Chichagof and Baranof Islands in the Panhandle, Yukon Flats, also over the Brooks Range, and a little bit in southwestern Alaska, including Bristol Bay. Also, the warm air moving up into the Bering Sea. And then on Saturday afternoon, some IFR conditions along the north slope again and eastern Brooks Range. Much improved flying conditions over most of the southern sections of the state, including the Panhandle. Some little light snow for marginal VFR near Yakutat, and all that warm air moving in the Bering Sea. For our pass conditions Friday, Anaktuvik Pass, VFR with marginal VFR to the north. Same thing for Adigan Pass, VFR, marginal VFR to the north and northwest. Lake Clark Pass, marginal VFR, and Merrill Pass, marginal VFR. Rainy Pass, marginal VFR. Windy Pass, VFR. Isabel Pass, VFR, marginal VFR improving to VFR. Mentassa Pass, VFR, but in the south, marginal VFR. Tahiti Pass, marginal VFR, expect turbulence in the morning. Portage Pass, marginal VFR, expect turbulence in the morning. Chilkoot and White Pass, VFR, and expect turbulence during all day. For our freezing levels at the surface for most of the state, 2,000 feet well south of the Aleutians. For our icing on Friday, we've got isolated moderate for most of southwestern and along the western coast. All of that's below 3,000 feet. As you get out in the Aleutians, it'll be below 4,000 feet. We have a couple of areas of considerable moderate. First of all, on the western Aleutians, below 4,000 feet. Also for the Alaska Peninsula out to Unimak Island, 4,000 feet. And then considerable moderate around that system in the Gulf, all the way from Kodiak Island across southern Kenai Peninsula, northern Gulf Coast, and across all of the Panhandle down into Haida Gwaii. For our jet stream on Friday, most of the jet misses the state. However, we got northwesterlies, 155 knots over Dutch Harbor, 140 knots over the Bering Sea, and south-southwest, 65 over the Panhandle, and westerlies 30 over the North Slope. For 9,000-foot winds on Friday, 70 knot north-northwesterlies over Unalaska. As we get further west, westerlies up to 70, 85 knots. A couple of circulation centers, but not generating a whole lot of wind. Southeast seems to have the most wind, ranging from about 35 to 50 knots. And then at 3,000 feet, we have easterlies 30 knots over the North Slope, 50 knots through the Bering Strait, 60 knots over the Alaska Peninsula out of the north-northwest. That circulation still remains over the Gulf with some 45 knots around that system and up to 55 knots in southeast Alaska. And then far in the west, in the western Aleutians, up to 85 knots over Shemya. For our turbulence on Friday, some areas of isolated moderate and considerable moderate in the Bering Strait area, St. Lawrence Island and Point Hope, and that's all below 4,000 feet. Also, almost the entire Aleutians and the Alaska Peninsula below 4,000 feet, including some patchy isolated severe in the eastern sections, again, all below 4,000 feet. On the west side of Cook Inlet, it's below 8,000 feet for isolated moderate, but as soon as you get onto the Gulf side and over much of Cook Inlet, especially Kennedy Entrance and Afognak Island, also from Cape Suckling almost to Cape Spencer and down through Dixon Entrance, we do have some patchy isolated severe turbulence. For the western sections, there would be on the lookout for some low-level wind shear. Most of that is below 8,000 feet, and then when you get south down to Haida Gwaii, it's below 6,000 feet.
I love the smell of winter in the morning, don't you? I'm Trace Star Homies, and this week we're gonna find a dog chasing a rabbit through the sky. Head outside around 10 and find Orion in the south, one of the easiest winter constellations to spot thanks to his sparkly belt. Connect a line through his belt stars and keep going down to the left and you'll see Sirius the dog star. That's the nose of Canis Major, Orion's hunting dog. And then if you look below Orion's feet and in front of Sirius's nose, you'll find Lepus the hare, a four-sided figure of stars. Also, keep an eye on the moon as it moves nightly toward the east, culminating on a full moon on the 28th before continuing its eastern journey. Whew, the gang's all here. Keep looking up.
Ever been to the beach and noticed litter like plastic bottles or foam takeout containers on the sand? Or maybe you've been to a river or bay where there's a bag or a car tire stuck in the mud on the shore, or a bunch of deflated balloons that say happy birthday floating in the water? All of that junk in the water or on the shoreline is considered marine debris. It's anything solid and man-made in the ocean or Great Lakes that is not supposed to be there. And anything people use every day can become marine debris if they don't dispose of it properly. And I mean anything. The most common items we find when we do shoreline cleanups are plastics. But we also find rubber, cloth, glass, metal, and paper litter. Sometimes the debris is so tiny, like a plastic microbead from your face wash, that you can barely see it in the water. Marine debris is more than just trash in the ocean. Sometimes fishers lose their gear like fishing traps, nets, or fishing line, and it continues to drift through the water, catching animals for a long time. We call that derelict fishing gear, and it's marine debris. Have you ever seen an old boat left behind on a shoreline? Abandoned and derelict vessels are also marine debris. So let's review. Anything we use every day can become marine debris if we don't dispose of it properly or if it goes into the water by accident. Marine debris can be very small or can be very big, and anything in between. But most importantly, marine debris is one of the biggest pollution problems facing the world's oceans and waterways today.
How does marine debris impact the ocean, animals, and me? Would you want to swim in a beach littered with trash? Of course not. And the animals who live in the ocean don't either. The difference is, they don't have a choice. Marine species often get tangled in debris, from fishing nets to six-pack rings. If they get caught, they could get injured or even die. And even if they don't get entangled, many animals mistake plastic debris for food and eat it. This fills their stomach with junk they can't digest. Debris can also damage important habitats, like coral reefs, by breaking or smothering them. Corals serve as the base of the marine ecosystem, and impacts here can be felt all the way to you and me. Plus, plastics have harmful chemicals in them. Fish eat plastic, we eat fish. The question is, can those chemicals harm us? Marine debris also hurts the economy. It costs a lot of money to clean up, and people don't want to go to dirty beaches. Boats and ships could run into large pieces of debris too, or get their propellers tangled. We need the ocean and everything in it, and the ocean needs us to keep it free of debris. What can we do about marine debris?
A lot of the trash that's in our ocean is plastic.
And that marine debris is hurting our environment, economy, and health.
The problem will only get worse
unless we change the way we consume and dispose of products. There are solutions.
And together, we can prevent litter from ending up in the ocean. Some people might say,
Well, I'm just one person, so I can't make a difference.
but that's just not true.
If each person who creates trash, and that's just about everyone, took action, it would add up to a whole lot of change.
So what can we do?
Well, the ultimate solution is prevention. And we need to keep that as our highest priority.
We can reduce, reuse, and recycle to keep debris out of the ocean in the first place.
You can bring your own shopping bag, drink out of a reusable bottle, and participate in things like a shoreline cleanup.
Join a group cleaning up the beach or grab some friends and clean up your street. It's easy.
Be more conscious of how many disposable plastic items you're using. And if you do,
Where are you putting it? In the trash can? Whoops. Or in the recycling bin?
so here's the challenge. The next time you finish using a throwaway item, a bag, a bottle, or utensil, answer the question, where is this going? Because ultimately, when you throw stuff away, there really is no away. It has to go somewhere.
So keep asking yourself this important question.
How will you keep your trash from becoming marine debris?
And now, marine weather around Alaska.
And now for our marine forecast. Starting out with the ice edge. The ice has moved about 5 to 10 miles to the south. Over the weekend, it's going to be easterly winds, so basically not a whole lot of change to the ice edge. And then on Monday, expect retreating toward the north due to a southerly wind. For Friday's marine forecast for southeast. On the inside waters, offshore flow, generally 20 to 25 knots with gusts of 35 knots, especially those bays and passes. And then on the outside waters, southeasterlies 30 to 40 knots, seas up to 15 feet. For Saturday's marine forecast, northerlies on the inside, 20 to 25 knots, seas up to 5 feet. And then southeasterlies on the outside, 20 all the way up to gale force 35 knots and seas up to 17 feet. For south central, circulation around that low on the outside, 35 to 40 knots, seas up to 15 feet. Prince William Sound, northeasterlies 20 knots, seas 4 feet. And for Cook Inlet, starting out as northeast 15 knots, and then coming around to northwest as you get down toward Cape Kennedy entrance, 25 knots and seas up to 10 feet. And then for Saturday's marine forecast, generally easterlies and northerlies for the outside waters up to 40 knots, seas up to 11 feet. Northerlies in Prince William Sound, 10 knots, seas 2 feet. And ramping up to northwesterlies 35 knots in the southern Cook Inlet, seas up to 9 feet. For Alaska Peninsula and Kodiak Island, generally northwesterlies. On the Pacific side, 20 all the way up to whole gale, 45 knots. Seas maximum 21 knots south of Sandpoint, 21 feet rather, south of Sandpoint. And then on Pacific side, on the Bering Sea side, 20 to 40 knots and seas up to 22 feet. And then for Saturday's marine forecast, northwesterlies all over the place. Winds 30 to 40 knots on the Pacific side, seas up to 17 feet. And then on the Bering Sea side, seas up to 12 feet, 30 knots out of the northwest. For Friday's marine forecast for the Aleutian chain, in the eastern sections, generally 30 to 40 knots, seas up to 21 feet, and then on the farther west you go, seas winds 25 to 40 knots out of the south and seas up to 17 feet. And then for Saturday's marine forecast, mostly southerlies, 20 ranging all the way up to 40 knots in the west, seas up to 24 feet. For the west coast, northerlies, 15, ramping up to 35 knots as you get down to the Pribilofs, seas 9 feet south of St. Matthew Island, 16 feet in the Pribilofs. And then again, northerlies, but we've got an easterly south of St. Matthew Islands, gale force 40 knots, seas 17 feet, and southeasterlies 25 knots, seas 8 feet for the Pribilofs. For the Arctic coast, easterlies 20 knots until you get down to the Chukchi Sea and the Bering Strait, 30 to 35 knots out of the north. For Saturday's marine forecast, northeasterlies 5 to 15 knots along the north slope, and then 20 to 25 knots as you go down through the Bering Strait. Tonight's weather, old low near Cape Newenham, circulation around that, some snow and blowing snow. Old low, 976 millibars in the Central Gulf. A newcomer, 989 millibars, coming up to Haida Gwaii. Then off Haida Gwaii on Friday, 983 millibars. And a front wrapped up around it, almost onshore for most of the Gulf Coast. 978 millibars for the old main low, it's weakening. And then a big surge of warm air coming into the western Bering Sea with a new system. A lot of offshore flow along the west coast. And then for Saturday's weather, big surge of warm air coming up into the Bering Sea, snow out ahead of it. And in the Gulf, those lows have really, really weakened. Lowest one, 992 millibars south of Haida Gwaii, the front wrapped up. And some offshore flow as we get down the Alaska Peninsula. And you can see the southerlies that have developed into the Bering Sea. There's still some high pressure in the Arctic, and that's pushing the sea ice edge south. So, thanks for tuning in, and hope to see you again.
These forecasts are for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating.